Marianne Slot's company, Slot Machine, has long been a cathedral for independent cinema, producing Lucrecia Martel, Paz Encina, and Benedict Erlingson. In August, Marianne was presented with Locarno's Raimondo Rezonico Award, and she chose to screen her film Women at War. Thank you very much for joining us. So look, you've been producing incredibly significant independent film for about 40 years. You've worked with...
No, 30 years. Thank you very much.
Years.
I'm not that old.
I apologize. I will not rob your life from you. You've worked with, generationally significant directors, and now you've been honored with the Raimondo Rezonico Award at Locarno Film Festival. And to mark that, you've chosen to screen Women at War, which is an amazing film, and I love it. And I just want to talk about it loads. But I'm wondering, why did you choose to screen that?
I chose that because I think it's very significant of, kind of my company, of what I do as a producer. I mean, and it was the film that probably gave me the most pleasure in the making, because Benedict Erlingson, as you can understand when you watch the movie, is a very original person and very fun and a very generous person. So it was just, it was pure pleasure making it with him as an artist. It was a very difficult film to produce, though, because it's very original, and originality is not always easy to defend when you have the finances in front of you. And, when you have a 50-year-old female action hero, most people would like her just to be 35. And we said, no. We like, 50-year-old female action heroes. We don't have enough of them on the big screen. And then the form is a little bit funny, the things with the musicians. Maybe we should take that away because it'd be difficult for the audience. Yeah. So it was a difficult film to make in that sense, but at the same time, we did it as we always did, and we managed to do it. And I thought that it's a film that has generated a lot of pleasure with the public, a lot of energy with the public. And so I thought it was perfect to offer that for the audience here in Locarno.
How did the project get started? Did Benedict bring it to you fully formed, or?
Benedict is a showman. He's an actor. He's an incredible actor. He's also a theater director, very talented, obviously. And he acted in The Idiots by Lars von Trier long time ago. So he had a small part. Great. So I met him shortly at that time. And then I had the hat on as being the Scandinavian delegate for the San Sebastian Film Festival over 20 years. And during that period, we invited Of Horses and Men, his first movie. And when I saw that, I thought, I would love to work with this guy. I said, there's so much in this man to come, this artist. And when we screened the film San Sebastian, I talked to him and said, listen, if you ever need a producer, especially a female producer, I mean, I'm ready for you. I really love to produce. And he came to me very shortly after with the project, and that's how it started.
But did he turn up going, look, all right, it's going to be identical twins. There's going to be live bands playing in the background. We're also going to need, a low-flying helicopter at one point and a massive explosion. Or did it grow into itself?
I said, I have a project. Maybe you like it. And I did.
Fair enough. I think it's I find it a very exciting film because obviously in some ways, it's a climate protest film. But, I love First Reformed and I love Paul Schrader, but I love how, as opposed to being the bleakest possible Catholic film ever made about how we're all screwed, Women at War is more about sacrifice and community, and it feels rather optimistic. Was that, do you hope that it can be quite easy to be a bit overcome by the state of the climate. Do you hope that this is a film which could help people believe that they could be part of a change?
Yes, absolutely. That's what the whole film is about. It's about civil disobedience. It's just one woman with low tech that fights high tech, and she managed very well. So I think that was one of the big things that made the film such a success, because people actually felt that there was something, you could do something like, kind of every person could just do, take a step to make a difference. I think that was very important. And what's really interesting about the movie is that it came out in 2018. And we actually have, it's still going showing everywhere. We had enormous success with schools, teachers using it in, in education. We had a lot of politicians who refer to the film, who uses the film. And one thing, I want to tell one story, which is actually quite I like very much, that we haven't told very much, is that we won a lot of prizes on the film. And one of the prizes was the Lux Prize, the European Parliament. And it's a film about civil disobedience, so it's quite funny that we won this prize. And so we went to Strasbourg in front of the European Parliament. The day before we got introduced, we were sitting up on the very top floor, like looking down, and we had all the big European politicians making their speeches. You had Angela Merkel making a speech, limited to 5 minutes, talking, we sitting there. And then the next day we were coming in, and it was very impressive sitting down there in front of the whole parliament. It was very nice because they programmed it at a time where there was a big vote coming up. So everybody was there.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And then the director takes the floor, and he's a very, kind of militant, engaged guy. And so he takes the floor for 25 minutes, and nobody dare stop him because nobody knows the rules of how long time you can have a director talking. So he actually made a political speech in front of the whole parliament saying like, listen, guys, and he made, the essence was he saying like, you have a tough job in front of you because you have to go out to tell all the citizens and the voters that they will have less of everything. They have to cut down. They have to, so I don't envy you, but I would like to give you a piece of advice. You go out and then you tell them, well, you won't get this, you won't get that, but, we will give you a lot of poetry. We'll give a lot of literature. We'll give you a lot of movies, so voila, this is my message. And if you need any advice, you just come back to me. So this was like fantastic prize. The best we ever won. But I must say, nobody ever called, unfortunately.
Oh, well, at least there's still time. Do you get the feeling that it's inspired people who watch it? Have people kind of spoken about, I don't know, getting more involved in environmental activity? Is the direct result of the film?
The direct reaction to it? Yeah. I don't know. Okay. That I don't know. I can just feel that, that the discussion coming from it is very interesting because it's like, because you feel so very powerless, in front of this. And I think one of the things is, of course, there is, it's politics, that has to decide the big changes. But in top of that, people also can do something, and we all should do something. So in that way, that when you see actually somebody inspires you that something can be done, it's only beneficiary and great.
Yeah, I mean, presumably, you think that, do you consider part of your job these days to be kind of to raise issues that need to be discussed that are perhaps being ignored?
Well, no, I don't. Not directly. I mean, I don't. I mean, my job is, and what has always been in all the years I've been a producer, it's a author-driven company. I mean, I choose the authors and the project that they carry more than just a subject or a thing. Sure. But obviously, the people that I choose to work with or choose to work with me, I'm lucky that they work with me, is people who have something to say. It's like kind of. I've been very, very lucky to be the French co-producer of Lars von Trier's film for 30 years. And often it comes out that, he's just a big provocator, and a lot of press like to make the headlines and stuff. And what I always say is it's his way of doing. He's a provocator, and that's what he's doing. But the essence of what he does is that he wants people to think. And if you actually go on the surface of the provocation, he really raises, kind of a lot of reflections and questions to subjects that are very, very difficult, and then most people want to avoid. So that's why it's, his oeuvre is so kind of discussed and hated and loved, because he's like, he put you in front of something and he don't give you a backdoor to escape. You see, the reality in face, whether you like it or not. So in that sense, you can say, yes, I think that, of course, it's like when I do something it has dimension somewhere, but I don't do subject films or, kind of, yeah.
No, but maybe I suppose it's possible to argue that, but by simply allowing people to make creative or provocative work, that is in itself relatively revolutionary at the moment.
Yeah. Yes. Well, luckily we have people who support us, in the financing side to do those kind of things. But, as I've been trying to say along this thing, getting this prize, one of the things where I said, I really have to say that we have to speak up because the independent producers are kind of a threatened species now. It really has become, limit, of where we are, have means to work. And, creativity, to have creativity is a political, decision. It's not the money that goes for it. So we have to have the awareness of, I think it's great for people to know what producers actually do, because they make it happen. The talent is there, but the talent needs the producers to make it happen. And, to have great stuff that changes things, you need to support all the producers who dare do that and dare take the risk doing that. So
go on then, explain to us, what do producers actually do?
What do producers actually do? Actually, the thing is, one of the discussion things has been here is like they're independent producers. And then you say, okay, it's a very interesting notion, but the independent producers is a different thing in different countries. And even within a country, it's a different thing. And what is the definition? There's not one definition of what it is. So, kind of, I can tell you what I do. That is one part of it. First of all, I'm maybe a little bit atypical because I'm a French producer, but I'm of Danish origin, and I produce authors all over the world, not necessarily French films. So the way I produce is that every time I have a film, I go somewhere and I construct the production around the film. So I take, kind of the essence of what we need to do with how we need to make this movie, and then I try to find the financing that goes with it, and which is, I find the most organic way to do it, because it's very difficult to find the money, and it's obviously when you get institutional money, and comes a lot of conditions with it. That means that kind of there's a lot of contraint, a lot of for the director that has to fit, and you don't want to give him too many of those to do that. So that's a way I become an independent producer, because I am not set within a system of production or specific, people. That makes me independent in the sense that I will have the artistic freedom with the director, or the director has the artistic freedom to do, what he want to do, and we can really go very far on the creational side. But that is, that is very specific to the way I do it. Other people do it other way, but so. In this whole thing, being a producer and what I do is actually, being the partner of the director from the beginning to the end. I work with the director on when they have the idea, the project, to develop it. Somebody needs a lot of, kind of collaboration. Some needs less. Sometimes we need something from outside. Then we go, we find the places, as I said, financing, shoot. We travel, we meet people, and then putting the crew together is very important as well, obviously, because it comes with, kind of how the film is made, and we need to have people, who's really devoted, who's interested in film, who's interested in the project. Yeah. We don't put people together just because they want to make money.
Yeah, you need passion to fuel it.
Yeah, of course. And, I mean, we take care of the people who should obviously be paid properly for their work and what they do, but we really want to have people who is engaged in it, because money are often tight, and you have to find solutions, and you have to often find goodwills to, push a little bit more on people.
And, and if you're making something good, the challenge is high.
Yes, exactly.
The way I always think about it is that perhaps people don't quite realize that producing a movie, it's like starting a new company every single time.
Yes.
Which is an absurd amount of work.
Yes. Yeah, but the advantage of that is still that then you can learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, it's true. You're not stuck with this goddamn company you started. Yeah. So look, if times are so rough for independent cinema and productions and filmmakers, is there light at the end of the tunnel? Are there things you think that the industry could be doing to support filmmakers more? Or do you think things are just going to get tougher as time goes on?
Well, when you look at the world situation today, I'm not very confident that it's going to get easier, to be very honest. I think that again, I go back to it's really political decision, because we're very fortunate still in Europe to have institutions that support art, and what we have is good, but it has to be better. And it's the choice to say that. With the structures that we have now, the financial structures has been shaken, by the streamers coming in, and we have to find a way that all this would work together again, but in a context where we get protected, in the systems that we always have, and which is very healthy, I think, and that is political, and we need that conscience of it, and
So how can you explain to us how has the industry felt the impact of the streamers over the last decade?
The thing is, in general, there's there's a change of how we consume films. And that obviously comes from many other things. It's not only the streamers coming in, the world changes, and the net, the access, the smartphones, kind of the difficulties of the cinema was already, people getting into cinema was already there before the COVID and before, kind of, so it has shaken up, kind of the groundstones of everywhere. So I think we're right now in a state where everything moves around and where we have to find, diversity is important. It's important that everybody works together and we have to understand what's happening and then find solutions. I don't know the solutions, but other than to say that, diversity is vital and we must protect that. And that's what I keep on saying. It's political, that we have to, creativity is vital, political, because we need support to do that, because that we don't get from anywhere else than the institutions right now, If not the kind of movies that I produce, if we didn't have, kind of the interest, the cultural interest and the institution, we wouldn't be able to make them.
It's, obviously it's for people who love going to the cinema and who love cinema in general. It's very sad that cinemas are struggling, but there could be a world in which, the access to millions of people online could actually be really beneficial for independent filmmakers, provided there was not such kind of a tight clasp on the monetization of those things by basically about 3 companies in the world. Is there some kind of digital model which, while not as beautiful and romantic as watching things projected on large screens, could end up getting truly diverse, young, different perspectives to people who may never have ever have gone to an art house cinema before?
Yeah, but I think that for sure the medias has to work together. We have to figure out a way to, and for the moment it's for sure like all which is, kind of the new medias that the young public uses is not serving the art house cinema. And I really trust that, it's not the interest that lacks, it's the access and the understanding or kind of that is missing, and that again, I come back to, maybe it's a little bit formal, I'd say, but it's like, kind of to understand that we need support to know how we promote or market art house cinema is vital, because without that, we can't do it. But, as, when you go into, how do you get the young people to see, kind of to get into the cinema, see the art house movies or seeing different kind of movies than the one they're used to see on the streamers or is very interesting. I don't know how, but I just had a great example of, we had there's a retrospective coming up in France right now with Lars von Trier's movies. And there was at the festival at La Rochelle, had screened all the things, and there was master classes and a lot of things done. And there was actually a lot of young audience who was discovering Lars.
What do they make of The Idiots?
Well, I don't know specifically about it ages, but I'm sure they love it. It's one of my favorite also personally. I love one of it. But it was very, very interesting, because there I had a mini kind of hope of experience, where, you certainly say like the young guys and on the media saying like, check out this guy von Trier. He's quite interesting, And then I thought, whoa, there's something happening here. First of all, really, really nice, of course, that the young audience now discover his films. Yeah. And then that there is, so I think there's hope that, kind of the medias can work together and that they actually can serve the art house, kind of circus. And then I keep the hope. I think that coming out of the COVID and everything, it's like, more than ever, I think that it's very difficult, I think, for many, many people to get back together and get out in the social life. But I think the community things about going to cinema and being together and having the experience together, I trust in that. I really trust that people need it. I feel that around me right now and everywhere I see, it's like people are not in a very good state. They're really not in a very good state. And I think the best healing thing of that is being together, going to the cinema together. Yeah, it's one of the things. It's together, like, enjoying arts, looking at something else than material things, but going into the art, going to the cinema, is something that, can be healing for people. And it's very needed in these pretty tough times. Yeah.
It certainly is. I know that's what I do.
Yes.
When did you first meet Lars von Trier? And when you did you kind of instantaneously realize, Oh, he's a person not like other people.
That you do the instant you mean that for sure. I think that's the experience everybody has. I started very, very young in the film business. I have no education in film business. I just started straight working. It was just happened like that.
Cool.
And I started in distribution where we did a lot of Danish film festivals in Paris. And at the time we had Epidemic in distribution, and he came shortly. And I was supposed to translate for him. And I was terrible at French at the time. So when he told me, little lady, I don't need anybody to, talk for me, I was very happy. And that was like my first little encounter. And I was like, whoa, that's something that, it's not very nice. But and then actually his partner, his company partner came to Paris because they wanted to kind of hook up, making a partnership and work with somebody in France, making a company. And I was like, I'm ready. I love to do that. And they chose to go with somebody else, which of course I was very unhappy about.
Bad choice.
But I mean, I was very young and really green. And then very luckily for me, that didn't work out. And then things were getting into motion. So they said, okay, are you ready to go stepping? They actually came and offered me caviar and vodka. And I loved that at the time. So I said yes. And I was very lucky.
And then was the first film you worked on with him Breaking the Waves?
Yes.
That's not a bad start, is it? What was it like when you won the Grand Prix?
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Sure. It was surrealistic. It's like, I mean, I consider myself being very, very lucky that I had the chance, and I was invited in to be part of his filmmaking somewhere, even if it was a small part at the time. And I really think it set the level of kind of what I've been doing as a producer, because working with a master like him sets everything else you do into perspective. So the poor guy's coming with a script after having read his was like so I suppose that's why I've kind of been lucky then to find other filmmakers that has very strong unique voices as well to work with. But yeah,
I'm sure it's also a bit of a baptism of fire.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And as I said, I mean, I have no education. And so it was just like, you just go with it and, you just have to be.
Definitely the best way to learn, isn't it?
Fantastic. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, when I was growing up in London around kind of 1995, I was like 12, 13 or something, everybody would talk about dogma. And it was this idea of something incredibly cool coming from Denmark. Yeah. And it was like, punk's back, baby, but this time it's on film. At the time, in the middle of it, did it feel very exciting, or was it a bit of a joke?
No, it's very serious. He was absolutely right. You needed a revolution to do something else. It's not because, there had been, low budget making was, filmmaking done with nothing and, very little means or think whatever, what resembled a little bit of a dogma was there. But what he did was like, he really gave a gift, I think, to everybody by, kind of getting this out into the, the big public and made it happen. It made it legitimized, the fact of doing, different thing, doing, kind of low budget movies, with content, but not, kind of with the smoothness of, kind of the Hollywood productions. And
yeah, I mean, it's another guest at this very film festival is Harmony Korine, who then went on to make Julian Donkey Boy on the Dogma Manifesto. So, I mean, I always thought that it's an amazing move to go from winning the Grand Prix to releasing The Idiots. What was that film like to work on and produce? Because I remember around the time when it came out, and I was thrilled, and it was deeply controversial and very funny and very moving and very thought-provoking. But, must have been a complicated thing to work on at the time.
Well, the thing is, Lars always is surprising, and he never does what's expected, which is beautiful, which of course everybody loves. And I just want to go back a little bit to the Idiots again, because what's interesting is we go through his filmography, he's always been, proposed, kind of rules and shots and dogma, his experiment forms, he's proposing a lot of different things, kind of, so I suppose that coming from Breaking, he had to do something, kind of, very different, not to be, somebody who don't want to be stuck anywhere, And I think that the making of Idiots
was... he sets his own bar as well as setting the bar for you. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just a very, very lucky one that's having to be part of it. But making what's interesting about the Idiots, I think, and which maybe people know less, is that it says, yes, it's a documentary film. There was like hundreds of hours shot, it's like just improvising and all that. The fact is, when you read the script and when you see the film, it's very close.
Really?
Very, very close.
Oh, I thought it was
and that's how
improvised.
It is. That's what I'm saying. That's what everybody thinks. It's like, but it was a very sharp idea and structure of what he wanted to do. And he knows what, he knows what he's doing. He's a master. Yeah. He's a master of his art.
It's lucky that it was Lars von Trier and Winterberg who came up with Dogma, because in other hands, it could have made much worse.
It could have been back this. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. So look, two young people who want to be producers, who have the energy and the optimism to dive into the flames and fight the rolling tide of capitalism and big tech. What would your advice be?
Be courageous. What would my advice be? I think that you have to be a little bit crazy to do this, and this is really a question of passion and not money. If you want to make money, you run away from this business straight away. If you want to have a comfortable life, you run away straight away. And I'm saying this out of my point of view, the way I do it and the kind of movies I produce, obviously, because that's I think that, again, the best thing you can do, and I say that to directors as well, it's like, I think that to young directors, it's like the best things is actually you find your partner, because it's like, it's a rough road, and it's very, very difficult, and it demands a lot of you. It demands a lot of suffering as well as pleasure, but a lot of, and so you want to have somebody with you that is really worth it. And personally, that's what I do when I choose films. It's like, it really has to be worth it. I really want to know that there's something at stake, that we're trying to do something, we're exploring something, we're going somewhere with it. So you just have to, you have to believe in what you do, and you really have to, I think it's important to think about what it is you want when you go into this. What is really want to achieve with that, personally,
You're a member of Le Collectif 50/50, obviously pushing for, greater representation of women throughout the industry in every position. Do you feel like this is a movement which has kind of gained some strides recently in the last 5 or so years? Can you see any change, or are we still stuck where we were a decade ago? Because I think everyone would like to pat themselves on the back, but I'm not convinced. It's all changed.
No, I think that but it's like it's never fully achieved, and it will never be. I think, unfortunately, it's not something we can say now we achieved it and then we can just sit back. It's a fight that we will have to continue forever. We have to be conscious about it. I think a lot of things happened. A lot of things came out of it. The Collective 50/50 was actually based on numbers and datas, and it was very smart, because that don't lie, and when you see, that, this minor percentage of women being represented, at the Cannes Film Festival and Festival selection compared to men, and this, you can everybody can see whoa, there's something that doesn't really fit here. We can't not just say, well, that's because we don't get enough films from film directors and this and that, there's a, so I think that whole movement did a lot of good, and I think the Me Too movement obviously is very, very important for that. I think that personally, I'm when you see the decline of democracy around the world and the female rights in the States, not to tell the state, and many other places in the world, that's very, very bad. I'm not very optimistic. It's pretty scary. I think when you go into AI and think about who's programming AI, you think that that's going to be a major setback for, the equality that we have gained, if that's not going to change. So I think a lot of things happen within. We go back to the film industry. It's like a lot of things happen within the institutions, because that's something has been regulated now. The conscience is there, and that is really brilliant, because that reminds us the whole time. Everywhere else where people start forgetting a little bit and trying to, kind of oversee, that we have to be vicious about, kind of keeping that gender equality. We get reminded, because when people come back to the Film Institute and say like, well, if you don't have equality or if you have enough female, you get more money. I mean, the money is obviously what always, kind of make people move, do something that they might not want to deal with or do. So...
But yeah, I mean, I suppose you're right. Just looking at the way that women's rights have been rolled back in the States in the last 12 months reminds you that it's actually a constant battle.
Yes.
Okay, look, well, thank you very, very much for your time. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure.
How long are you in Locarno for?
I will be here till Monday.
All right, well, enjoy it.
I'll do my best. Thank you very much.
Cheers.